expense report. I bet you have stories.
We sure do, and it's a topic that's not discussed very often. Everybody talks about how to shake hands firmly and what to say and what not to say, but they forget that the candidate is being evaluated throughout the process. So the expense report tells a little bit about the physician, and we are listening when it turns out to be an outlier.
Ooh, so I feel like we need one of those black boxes over the eyes like they have in Cosmo about no identifying details. But it sounds like there might be some stories in there. So can you share some of the I can't believe that actually happened themes that you've run into with expense reports from site visits?
Sure, and what we're trying to do is give physicians a glimpse of the thinking that's going on the other side of the interview table. We had one physician who was invited to interview, and he wanted to interview very quickly and with a short time span between the discussion and the time that he would be taking off. And the airfare turned out to be exorbitantly expensive. He offered to fly out of a nearby hub airport, about 90 minutes away from his fellowship, in order to get the airfare into more reasonable, like under $1,000 price range. So that sounded great, and he got the usual instructions for keeping track of his mileage and keeping his receipt at the departure airport for parking. But when the expense report came in, it was a little bit different story. He had decided that he would get a little work done in the back of a limousine, so he booked a round-trip limousine, and the total expense for that turned out to be over $300, which was several times what we would have expected. And then he also upgraded his flight to first class because he was afraid he would get claustrophobic in the back of the airplane. So those two totaled a little over $500, which is a drop in the bucket. We understand in the big picture, but they were a clue to the way this physician goes about day-to-day business. And the hospital administrator decided not to move forward on an offer because he thought that this physician was a little bit too free with the hospital's expenses and couldn't be trusted with the new service line launch that he was interviewing for.
So, okay, let's say I choose Uber the best possible instead of the worst possible. Is that something to be concerned about as a physician? Or at what point do I need to contact my recruiter to see if an expense is going to be a deal breaker?
I would say it needs to be larger in scope than that. So anything over maybe $100 over the standard service would be something you would want to check first. And there should be a reason for it. There should be some rationale. And had the physician said, I need to share with you that I have some claustrophobia issues when flying in smaller planes, we might have authorized that without blinking, but it wasn't something that was discussed in advance, and that's when it becomes an issue for the hospital administrator who's deciding whether or not that's a red flag for this candidacy.